Hey guys, it's Brooke here. Today I just wanted to share some of my artwork. This is unfinished stuff that I really don't plan on returning to. I was working on a comic a few years ago for my cartoon that I worked on years before that, but I didn't follow through with this comic at all. But I am working on a new comic now that is a little bit, it's not as large of a project as this one, but it's definitely a lot better than this one, more improvements, but the reason why I'm sharing this today is because I know I've been talking about my artwork um, pertaining to the demonic things that I've been going through in my life and how it was coming out in my artwork. And I just wanted to show you guys a few drawings that I've done of the demons that I've seen in my dreams or the things that I've seen in the room that have approached me, and how it's also coming out in my comics as well, where my comic is mostly talking about spiritual experiences. But I would like to share this with you really quick. This is a comic based on an animation I made a few years ago, and there's two characters here. And this character you see here is a spirit. She's a ghost, and this is a different character here. And this is a cemetery scene. Yeah, you can see that this is really rough. Like, I didn't even plan on continuing with it. This was done a few years ago. Um, as you can see here, the character is just looking in the mirror, kind of obsessed with mirrors. Um, just it's just something like I remember drawing this, and I remember like this is kind of stuff that I've been going through. Like when I feel like I'm alone, I feel like a presence there, a spirit, a dark spirit. I can't really explain this because it's so badly drawn. Usually when I do comics, I do a rough sketch and then it gets better as I fix it, but just sometimes it's so rough I can't even explain. Like, but in this box here, the character realizes that there's blood on her hands. Like she like blanked out, and she has like this weird split personality. She blanked out and she was actually responsible for killing a bunch of people. And here's the scene with the when she's looking at her closet. Remember when I spoke about my spiritual experiences where I remember entities always asking me to come into a dark closet. As you can see here in this box, you see like this dark smoke coming from the closet. Obviously I didn't color it, color it dark, but this is just some rough sketches. You see how now this is exactly what was going on with me when I was a child. And I'm glad that I captured this in my art. It was very hard to draw this because it was very weird and hard to really explain, but you see how this dark force is taking over this character and how it's making her weak. Just going to get to the important parts of this here because there's a bunch of other stuff going on, but again, you see how this character is looking very, very paranoid, looking into the mirror again. And I posted this on my website actually in the members exclusive section. Certain sections of my website you have to sign up to see. This is in my journal section. But this spirit is just making this character go insane. Um, you know, picture self-explanatory. Then you get the sexual feelings. You see how the darkness is just surrounding this character, and you see how she's just splitting in the mind. Now you see the closet again. I have this obsession with closets because of what happened to me when I was a kid. Then you see this character becoming more deranged. Here comes the closet again, this dark entity with glowing eyes. It's making this character deranged. Now you see in this scene right here, and I'm sorry about these rough ass sketches. I know I could do better than this. But this was just a rough sketch. You see how this entity is just like the character thinks that they're touching themselves, but it's actually the entity behind her making her do this to herself. Yeah, that's just so for all you people that are sitting here saying I'm making up stories, this was done years ago actually. I think this was I started working on this like 3 or 4 years ago. But I never followed through with this one because I just scrapped this comic, but I actually am working on another comic. Um this was I guess this was the prototype. But I wanted to just show you guys these rough sketches just to show you that I really take this stuff very seriously and I put it in my work. Here you see in the beginning this character's in a cemetery and there's a full moon. Just pay attention to the symbolism I put in my work. I mean, I'm really trying to tell truth in my work as best I can. And the more that I put time into this, the more that these dark forces bother me because, I'm just trying to get the truth out. Here's the main character here talking to a ghost. Now, this spirit is not a demonic spirit. This spirit is actually a guide. This character is a spirit guide. The other character, this really dark person. You see how this character is this darkness is making this character deranged. You know, making her have split personalities. This is a scene where she's going to the therapist, but I drew this really bad, so I don't want to show it. Yeah, she's at the therapist's office, and here's a scene where she's like, I hear voices in my head and things like that. Yeah, but let me show you guys some other artwork that I have where I drew a demon, or I drew some type of spiritual experience. This is a very old picture. I don't remember when I drew it. This was many years ago, but this is of a window here. There's a character here sitting on a carpet, and I call this picture a spiritual window. Um, I don't know why I drew this, honestly, but the more I look into it, I think that this is one of the portals to the different dimensions, stepping through dimensions. All right, let me talk about this because this is really important. My phone is attached to this charger, and this is really important. I drew some entities I saw in a dream. Now, let me explain to you guys a story behind this entity that I drew. I was at my mom's house one time. I was visiting her, and I took a nap. And I was knocked out. I was tired. And I had a dream where I had that sleep paralysis where I was screaming, but nothing was coming out of my mouth. I was screaming for help to get up, right? As I was screaming, I saw a being approach me. He had no face. He had a hood on, and his face was of complete darkness, as you can see here. And as I was screaming, spiritually and trying to scream physically to get up, because I was stuck, this being was in my face, and I don't know what it was. Three of these beings actually. I just drew one of them, but there was one in the front and two in behind him, and I feel as if the being was they dug their hands into my heart or my soul, and they were just draining it. They were staring right at me. They don't have any eyes, obviously, but the being was just standing right in front of me and watching me scream and die and cry and beg for help and beg for mercy. Like, don't take me, please. I was terrified, and I was stuck in sleep paralysis. And this was happening at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So these beings attack at any time. There is no time in these realms. They don't care. So don't get extra scared at night. They only bother people at night because souls are detached from the body more, but they do attack during the day. This was drawn years ago. I think over 6 or 7 or 8 years ago. And these beings, I was in like some type of dark, occultic looking place where I was with these beings, and it was made of complete darkness. And this being, I think they were trying to take my soul. I'm not sure if I was in a cloning center or in a satanic ritual somewhere where my clone was there, or a part of my spirit was summoned during a satanic ritual. I have no idea, but I saw this being, and as soon as I was done with that dream, I drew this right away. so that I could tell people about it and people don't think I'm crazy. Let me show you guys another thing here. And also I want to point out, I think that I was saved by something. I think something took me out of the whatever these beings were doing, and they brought me back into consciousness. For some reason, I have a strong feeling that my brother had something to do with that. My brother was killed by a stray bullet, if you guys don't know, in 2006 when I was 17. And that was very traumatic for me. But he told me several times in dreams that he was okay and that he was in a spiritual school. He dropped some gems for me, so I thank him for that. But for some reason, I have a strong feeling that some angelic or higher dimensional being intervened with what this thing, this being was trying to do, which was, I think they were trying to take my soul or kill me or something. But let me get into this other picture here. There's this other woman that was in my house. I got a lot of, oh, here, this bitch. I even wrote the date. I actually wrote a date on this one. Sorry, guys. This bitch, okay, when I fell asleep, this was in 2012, I drew this. So when I say I'm not kidding, I was on this shit for a minute, I'm not kidding. When I went to sleep one night, I was at my grandparents' house, and I know since I was a kid my grandparents' house was haunted. So one night I went to sleep, and I had this weird dream, and I don't know where I was. I was in a realm where things kept constantly changing, and I saw this woman, and she looked like she was from a different time period, maybe like a time period of possibly slavery, I'm not sure, but it was a Caucasian looking woman, and she looked so scary. She had these huge black eyes. I drew this right after I had this dream because it terrified me. And so she had these huge black eyes, this pale white face, very thin lips, very old looking in the face, and her hair was like in a bun, like old school. And this woman jumped or floated. I'm trying to describe it as best I can, so I'm sorry. The spirit realm is very hard to describe. This thing flew very quickly in my face, and I woke up suddenly. I woke up immediately. I was fucking scared as hell, man. I was like, oh my god. I remember this woman clear as day. She wanted me to see her, and she had these devilish, demonic, huge black eyes. I'll never forget those black eyes. She looked at me with such hate and such fury that her primary objective was to kill me, to destroy me, and put me in endless torment. And I'm dead fucking serious, man. This shit is real. I don't care what people say. Call me crazy, but I'm putting up proof here of my artwork. I drew this right after I had that dream because I will never forget this bitch's eyes. She had big, huge, black, soulless eyes. And I drew her. And she had this mean, this really mean scowl on her face. Old white woman. I'm not hating against white people. I just want to make that clear here. It's just, that's just what she was in the dream. It was an entity. I honestly believe that this woman might have been some type of slave master or something. I'm not even sure. But she looked at me with the most demonic eyes. Ugh, just awful. Alright guys, let me share some more of my artwork. Just give me 1 second here. Alright. This is a picture here of one of my main characters in my series, and she's like in an environment that has like candles burning, severed heads, severed body parts. It's just very dark. Like, I was in a really dark place. I don't know what was taking me there, but they were taking me there. Here's another picture of this character sewing the eyes shut of a severed head. Yeah. Here's another picture that I drew when I was in the hospital. This was done, I think, in my early 20s, where I was in the hospital because I was going through a lot of stuff in my life, and I wanted to get help. And I went to the hospital, and the weirdest thing happened where I had a really horrible dream that I was being strapped down to the bed. and injected with drugs. Now, you don't know what they do in these mental hospitals. They do really crazy things to people and then they erase their memory, like MK Ultra. I don't know if that's what happened to me, but I do know that when I was, coloring, like sometimes they gave us time to just be by ourselves. I started drawing and I made this picture, and behind this character here, you just see like screaming in the back, like from different entities. And I just don't know what was happening in that hospital, but I'm not sure if something happened to me, but this is what I drew after that experience. I was in the hospital for 2 weeks. Now, this picture is obviously self-explanatory. I mean, just like I said in a previous video, I truly believe that I was approached by the dark forces to come join them, honestly. I'm not sure if it was the Illuminati. I'm not saying that I'm that important, but I feel like they approach people in spirit before they actually come to somebody physically. And I was taken to different places in New York. I remember clearly it was New York, and I was shown certain things, and I ended up drawing this picture here. And it's just self-explanatory. I mean, if you guys don't believe in this stuff at this point, I don't even know what to tell you. I know I'm not crazy. I know I've been doing this for over 10 years, and it's been coming out in my art, and I want to get to the bottom of the truth. I really do. And I will fight for the truth, and I'll dedicate my life to the truth. Let me move on to the next one. I don't know what my obsession was with snakes. This picture I did on the computer. I colored it. But this is the first sketch of it, and I just had this feeling of just being surrounded by snakes. I don't know why, but it's just a part of what they do. This was drawn years ago, during a really dark time period in my life. This picture here, well, you catch my drift. I mean, I always had the sense that I was being watched, and this was tormenting me. It really was, for so many years in that house. And I couldn't talk to anybody about it, because everyone just thought I was nuts, But it was coming out in my art, and I just had this obsession with, I don't know, I just kept drawing these things, They look like aliens. A lot of people argue they're aliens, they're demons, back and forth, but, I want to get to the bottom of this, I really do. Here's another picture that came off the top of my head. Yeah. If you guys have gone through this stuff, please put it in the comments section, I want to get to the bottom of what's going on with people spiritually. I know there's something going on, because I don't know why I would dedicate so much time to this stuff. And lastly, this is the last picture of the series I'm going to show you guys. You can check the rest of my art out on my website. It's in a members exclusive part of my website, which is my art journal. You can also check out my art in my art store as well. There's a lot of stuff there with my sketches. But so here's something I drew where this character here is just laying in the bed, and there's this entity behind her. And as you can see with this character, she looks like she's under some type of spell or intoxication. And here's this bottle I drew here that when I recreated this on, into digital art, because this is the original sketch, I put color. This drink was some type of intoxication or something. The word, I can't even say the word. But it was just some type of intoxicating chemical or something. But I just want to symbolize I can't explain, like, if you've never been around the dark forces, it's hard to explain. It's just like a lustful, intoxicating energy, where they want to bring you in, and they use mostly lust and addiction. That's how they work. I almost fell into this. I think they were trying to get me to turn to the dark forces. They were preparing me for, I guess, stardom because they knew that I wanted to be famous. They knew that I had weaknesses. They knew that I was already vulnerable because of shit I went through in my life. They knew that I spent a lot of time alone. And those are the people they like to target the most. This entity is kind of like I did the best I could to draw them. This is probably not exactly what they look like, but they're kind of like some type of shape-shifting entity. And they're very muscular, they're very big, and they could be whoever they want to be. They could be a woman, a man, a lizard, anything that your deepest desires will become that. And that's what I've been dealing with most of my life. But if you want to see more of my art, please check out my website in the description. If you guys have any experiences with aliens or demons or extra dimensional beings, please put it below. I would like to hear your experiences and have a conversation about it. Because I want to get to the bottom of the truth, you know. I want to get to the bottom of this and expose this because millions of people across the planet are talking about the same stuff, and you know, we can't just ignore it, you know, because these things bother people at night. Hell, they bother people 24 hours a day, honestly. It's just because we're in human physicality, our spiritual sight is dimmed, you know, like a candle flame. It's our spiritual sight goes down the more we interact with the material world. So we have to always be conscious of that. But guys, have a great day. And like I said, if you have experiences, please share them. I would like to hear them so we can get to the bottom of this truth. Thank you.